today's video is going to be a little different. As you can tell, it's not a Datsun. This is actually a 2013 or 2014 Subaru Brz. This is actually my cousin's, and we're going to be replacing the throwout bearing. We've never done this before, so that's why we're kind of filming. But if you're here for the Datsun content, you could go ahead and skip this video. Yeah, there's my Brz. There's his. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do after jacking the car up in the air is taking off the center console. Pretty easy. On this part right here, you could just tug on this over here, get rid of this little cup holder, and under this mat right here, there's two screws. Let me see if I can get this out with one hand. There's two screws there, and there's some tabs down here. There's like this little plastic thing on the other side that you have to remove, and then you have to tug on this side right here too. So you have to take this off in order to remove the center console. The reason why you want to remove the center console is because we will be removing the transmission, so the shifter obviously has to go with the transmission. Two screws there. Now you have to take off this cushion thing along with this boot, and yeah, so there's gonna be 4 screws here. Or 4 bolts. Now there's like a safety pin. I don't know if you can see that. You just pull that out. If you were doing like a short shifter install, this is the same process that you would have to go through. You would take out exactly everything that like we just took out, and then you would be able to install your new short shifter right here. Here that's already a short shifter, so that's why we kind of know what we did right here, because we did it previously. But now it's for the fun part, which is taking off the transmission, something that him and I have never done. So yeah, wish us luck. So here's the transmission. First thing that we're going to be doing is getting rid of the front pipe. So right here, there's 2 bolts, and over there connecting to the over pipe, there's 2 bolts. And there's like a little hanger right here as well. So we'll take off the front pipe, and then we have to take off the drive shaft. If you can see, we have to get to the drive shaft. That's the reason why we have to take off the front pipe. After the front pipe, I believe there's like 4 screws on each side. There's 2 there, 1 right there, and then 1 on the top side. Same thing with the other side, and then we have to disconnect the starter. Before we do the starter, we have to remove, disconnect the battery so that we don't get electrocuted. Shocked. Yeah, shocked with touching the starter connected to the battery. But before we also even do anything with the drive shaft, we have to drain the fluids. The reason why we're doing this is because we believe his throwout bearing is like messed up or something like that. So we're gonna check. We're gonna remove the transmission for that. There's also a transmission mount right here that we have to remove. So now that we removed the front pipe, it's time to drain the transmission before you remove the drive shaft. So the drain plug is right there. Yeah, and there's another one on top, but I believe that one is to fill up the transmission. Yeah, so when it's time to refill your transmission with the transmission fluid, it's through the top one, and to drain it, it's through the bottom one. And we're going to be using this big Allen. I believe it's a 10 mil Yeah, I don't know if you can tell right there, but it's 10 millimeter, and it goes right there. So there you go. He's about to drain the transmission fluid. Oh, what? We didn't open the drain plug.
The top one?
In the no. Put your hand in the oil.
Oh, hold it.
All right. So my cousin already removed the bolts here that go from the diff to the drive shaft. The process of this was when he was doing this, he would loosen one, take one off, and then I would release the e-brake. He would move the drive shaft to the position for the next bolt, and then I would pull the e-brake up again so that there's no play, so that he could be able to do it.
I'll hold it.
I'm
sure?
Yeah, I'll bench press it. Go.
Doesn't look like bench press, but I'm scared for my life.
You want me to loosen it and you hold it? Yeah. Let me get an extension first. The next step in the install would be to remove the battery, only because we will be like unbolting some bolts from the starter. So yeah, it's better to like play it safe and unhook the battery. We got loud boy over here and slow boy. So right now, while my cousin is down there, I'm taking off these two plugs. I don't know if you can tell. Let it focus. Yeah, so that black one and that red one, it's just like a little clip. And then the hidden screw or bolt, but it's basically down here in this area. It's like a starter one. And then the other ones are right here. You can see them pretty easily. There's one here, one right there, and then one at the very bottom. I'll show you. So he's pointing at one right there that he just took off, and then there's two more up there, and then there's a hidden one on the right side. Like you can see the starter right there. So there's one there.
This one, right?
Yeah. And then on the other side, it's pretty hidden, so you gotta do it from the top, but that's that. And then on the other side, you can see all visible like bolts and nuts.
No.
So, yeah. When you're short, because you're Mexican, you gotta get like a little step stool so you could work on cars. We took off the bolt that goes here. This one was kind of hard. The way we took it off was by removing the battery, getting a breaker bar, doing it from up here, like just like this motion right here. From underneath, and with the impact it was hard. I thought it was stripping, but nah, it was just difficult. So it was the breaker bar. We did the 3 from the left side of it now, and now we just had to do, I don't know if you can see, there's a hidden bolt right here. Right here. So we're at the point where we took out the 6 bolts, 3 on the left side, 3 on the right side. Now that nothing's hooked up to the starter or the transmission anymore, the starter, we kind of just left it hanging right here. As you can tell, it's right there. You can see the gap opening up for the transmission mounted to the engine. Now it's just to take off the transmission mounts, and we should be able to pull out the transmission. I don't know how much of it I'm gonna record, only because it's only 2 of us working on this and we don't want the transmission to fall on us. So we already unbolted those up there, 3 on each side, and this nut right there. Now it's to take off these nuts or bolts.
Oh no.
2 on each side, so there's 1, 2 there, and 1, 2 there. We have the jack just in case, but I believe the transmission won't fall out yet, since it's still hooked up to, I think, that like bolt.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna, just for safety reasons, but we're just taking these off, and then after that we'll just pull the transmission out. There was actually 2 other bolts too, so it's these 2 right here, and then there's these nuts right here. It's a nut and a washer that's mounted like this. So you just loosen these and the bracket comes off. So it's a total of 4 bolts and 2 nuts. Now we're gonna pull the transmission. So we removed the old throwout bearing on the retainer clips. There's a few things that you need to like unbolt if you're gonna do this yourself, but so there's a ground wire that you see that's hooked up still to the like engine bay to the bell housing, and there's this like hose. We're just holding it up because it's just a throwout bearing, so it should be quick. So that's the reason why we're not gonna take that off. But yeah, if you were to do this yourself and remove the transmission completely, don't forget to do that. So these are like the retainer clips that hold in the throwout bearing. Be super careful with these because we almost lost them. That would have been super bad because we wouldn't have been able to finish the job. Here, I'll show you guys underneath the car. So here's the new one. We still got to put grease on them, but these retainer clips, and figure out how these retainer clips work. It shouldn't be too hard, but yeah, as you can see, we have the car, the transmission jacked up, just because it's just a throwout bearing. Throwout bearing's here, but like if you wanted to replace this, I forgot the name of it, but if you wanted to replace this, then yeah, I'm pretty sure you would have to take the transmission out completely. And to do so, you would have to remove that ground wire that you can see right there, and then the hose on the other side. You can see. So I put the bearing, I greased it up, and I put the retainer clips on both sides now. So it's nice and good now. Now it's just time to put the transmission back and do everything that we just did in reverse. Also, if you're doing this job, it's advised that you replace the bearing retainer cover, only because like if there's scoring on this, then it's just gonna mess up the new bearing. Usually they have them in stock. We weren't lucky enough to have one, so it's not perfect, but I mean, it's all right. So we put the transmission back in, not all the way, as you can tell. There's still a gap. There's still a gap, but we're just putting the bolts on and then torquing the bolts down, and then it's just closing the gap by itself. We put the starter back in and we're about to bolt that down, but yeah, it was kind of a pain in the butt to put the transmission back in, but we managed just to shove it in there. It's been several hours later. As of now, it's because we were having some issues with one of the bolts that mounts from the transmission to the engine, so we had some issues with that. We put the 4 bolts that go into the drive shaft from the rear, like the rear diff. We put those 4 bolts. We put the drive shaft mount bolts, transmission bolts. We put the starter back in. We need to wire that still, I forgot. And we're about to pump transmission fluid back into the transmission, and after that we're gonna put the front pipe and we should be done.
You recording? We should put the Pornhub entrance. And then, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And then, like the clip of us doing this. That would be funny. saying, or the guy doing the, you know what I'm talking about, right?
No.
The old guy, the one who drinks orange juice.
The fucking wrinkly old bald dude.
Yeah.
Fucking Vin Diesel head.
Yeah, right here, like it's dripping.
So it's been a while since I picked up the camera, but we're basically done. We had a little bit of issues with a few things. So just a recap of what we did exactly. We connected the 6 bolts, or we bolted the 6 bolts that connected from the transmission to the engine. We connected the wires that we had unplugged for this starter. We put the drive shaft back in. It's 4 bolts over here, two bolts up in the membrane, and then we filled up the transmission with transmission fluid. We put the exhaust back on. We put the interior pieces back on as well. As you can see, it's back on. And yeah, we're about to start it. Go ahead and start it. How does it feel?
More engaged.
More engaged? All right, go ahead. Let me know when you come back.